And welcome, everybody. This is Elite Tennis Podcast. I am Mike Baugh, and we have with us tonight Matt Sizzlin' Bacon. Matt Bacon, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. Well, at least that's where he resides now. We're going to find out a lot more where he's from, how he got into tennis, and all the stuff in between. Matt, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
Mike, I tell you what, man, it's been amazing. I'm very honored to actually be considered the first guest ever on your show. Huge thank you for that, by the way. And want to send a big shout out to your wife, Sarah. Love you both. You guys are awesome. You do so much good for the state. You do so much good for USPTA Elite or U30. It's not U30 anymore.
Elevate, yeah.
Elevate, yeah. So, you text me today and said, hey, you want to roll? I'm like, absolutely, I want to be on a show with Mike Baugh. We got history, man. It was cool. The last 2 years, you've been lucky enough to invite me to do the High School Conference Coaching Association Daytona. I think Mark Atkinson and I had a killer 36-foot net demonstration death battle that Sterling Strother did for us, and that was amazing. I've never been in a full body sweat playing a 36-foot court with red balls indoors. I mean, that was an amazing Sunday morning. That was so much fun. But no, things are good. How about you guys? You guys are well?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's great. One day at a time, and see what we can do the next day. But no, that was a great day because we were supposed to be outdoors. We were supposed to be at Seabreeze High School in Daytona, Florida, and the weather got the best of us, but we got the best of the weather in the end because I think, when you get some competitive people together, and then we had to remind everyone that there were chandeliers on the wall just to kind of put that in perspective. Even though we were playing yellow ball, we didn't want to end up with any incidental charges to the room bill to bill the FACA with. But no, that was some great times there. That was definitely good.
That was fun. I think I did shank a lefty forehand into a chandelier, and I think Dee Dee Allen at Episcopal actually paid my bill quietly. So if she's listening, thank you so much, Dee Dee, for picking up my tab.
So Matt, take me. I mean, we've been friends now for quite some time. It started with a little App State connection. One of my players, Rebecca Morris, played at App, and you actually found out about it. You went to App, and you were wearing like some App shorts or something. And I said something to you at a conference, I think in Naples or something. And next thing you know, we started talking about things, and we started connecting. And next thing you know, we see each other everywhere. And then with the world of social media, networking, and we're hanging out all the time. So, take me through a little bit about the background of Matt Bacon and a little bit about the background of the tennis, how you got to where you were to playing to App State.
Oh man, geez, where do I begin? This is probably 100 years ago now, Mike. So my memory's a little blurry.
Because you had a short stint at Ferris State, from what I recall.
I did 1 year at Ferris. I did 1 year at Ferris State, and I actually got to spend time with a couple really good people there. Spencer Mize, one guy there that I really got to know. Kyle LaCroix. I was actually in the freshman class with Kyle, big Kyle. We called him Lurch at the time. I still give Kyle a lot of grief whenever I see him, but he's an awesome dude. He's a good dude. He acts all super serious and tough, and I give him so much garbage, But I did there. To be honest with you, the weather, I couldn't do Michigan, man. The weather just doesn't appeal to me. Cold weather. Ooh. So what did I do? I leave Michigan to go to school in the mountains of North Carolina. So I didn't do any research on this whatsoever, to be honest with you. I thought the South, tennis, hey, why not? Went there, played a little bit, hang out, got my thing done, and then started coaching a little bit. Was asked, Bob Lake, the men's tennis coach there, asked me to help coach, probably more out of desperation than anything else, and decided to start doing that. And a couple years later, about 7 years in, started really liking it. And then, college coaching is one thing. It's you're either 100% into college coaching, and that's your life, or you do private sector, you do clubs, you do racket clubs, whatever. I decided to go the other route, and all my college that I spent there was great. I loved every kid that I got to meet. I still really good friends with a lot of guys that were on the team. I still talk to most of them, not all most of them, but a lot of them. But my career started taking me in a different direction, and started coaching more, academies, and then doing country clubs and racket clubs, you name it. I had a past in it. I was able to work at Ocean Reef for a while.
So that's nice.
Yeah, and I was there for a long time. I got to meet Justin Romeo, who's down there now. Jim Morton, who's the director of tennis there, is a really cool guy. Willie Kakins, the guy who hired me down there at the time, was really cool, instrumental, and just, really kind of reshaping a lot. Went back to Boone, ironically. Became a director of tennis at the actual rival club I started out at, and was there for a couple of years. And then I started really, really kind of figuring out, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, you could bounce around and kind of bum around and do this and that, or do you really, really want to start taking things seriously? And I started really kind of taking a personal investment look, and started figuring out, what am I good at? What am I not good at? Kind of a SWOT analysis. But then I started really, really kind of taking everything very seriously, my career. So for the past, I think 8 years now, I've really kind of poured all my heart and my soul into kind of my career, and what am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I need to achieve? What do I need to get better at? And those aren't easy things to kind of do. You gotta kind of tell yourself, hey, you're really good at this, you're not really good at that. And, I set some goals. Coming home to Florida was a goal of mine, because every time I've been in the state, it's always felt home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I really kind of focus a lot of shifting a lot of my time and efforts into coming back here. And about 6 years ago now, about going on 6 years ago, I actually took a step back in my career to get back into Florida. I left a director's job at a great club, Deer Valley Racket Club in Boone, North Carolina. And I took a head pro job at Timaquana Country Club in Jacksonville, and was there for 2 years, really did my thing, kept my head down, did my job. And then I ended up leaving there and taking a co-director job at Sawgrass Country Club. I was there for less than a year, and just lucky enough, just the stars aligned again for Timaquana, and I got a call from the GM saying, hey, we'd like to interview you for the job, and the position opened up as the director, and I did a 2-hour sit down in a suit and tie, and thank God the people who were on the hiring committee couldn't see what was underneath the suit and tie, because I was definitely sweating. I mean, it was profusely sweating. And about 20 minutes after I left, I got the call from the GM, and it's been the best 2.5 years of my life since. So
that's great. So you mentioned, and that's a great quick story of Matt Bacon there, but you mentioned earlier in the pre-show that you had a trivia question.
I do. All right.
So what's this? I just want to get the cat out of the bag here. What's your trivia question?
All right. Because this is the inaugural show, and we only started, 32 minutes behind schedule, which is perfectly fine, because guess what? All the best things. I'm actually looking up a story right now on historychannel.com about Disneyland's disastrous opening day. But Mike, this is by no means a disastrous opening day at all. But here's my question for you, my friend. All right, can you name one of the four? So you got Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, and Johnny Carson. They all had their first shows. Can you name one person who was on either one of those first shows?
Oh, wow.
Any of them?
No.
Okay.
Cannot, no.
All right. I'll start with David Letterman.
Okay.
Can you name his first inaugural guest?
No.
Bill Murray.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you're in good company then.
I hope so. I mean, Johnny Carson's first guests were Tony Bennett, Mel Brooks, and Joan Crawford. Jay Leno was Billy Crystal and Robert Hurwitz. I don't know who that is. But here's my favorite. Conan O'Brien, his first musical guest on his first show was Radiohead.
So that's great. Like, these are good people.
Yeah.
You're good people. So it's all good.
John Goodman, who's from St. Louis, like myself, was the very first guest on Conan O'Brien. So once again, there's like another 7 degrees of separation from Matt Bacon to St. Louis. So
here's what I gotta. So last night had a little bit of break from my diet. I don't know. People know me. If people really know me, I've really been hard on the diet front here. Really hard the last 5 months. Strict before, but strict, really strict the last 5 months. Broke it a little bit last night and got some toasted ravioli. It's not fried ravioli. There's a difference, big difference. To the layperson, they may not know. I'm not from St. Louis, but I'm close enough that I still was able to pick up KMOX on my own radio from my bedroom. So kind of a cousin of St. Louis. I'm a Cardinals fan through and through. I've got the bobblehead collection over here. So, first of all, what is fried ravioli?
ravioli.
What?
Toasted ravioli.
Toasted ravioli. I'm sorry. What is toasted ravioli? Where do you like to get it when you're in St. Louis? And where have you found it in Florida?
Well, I tell you what, there's a couple things that are St. Louis soul food. There is true soul food for someone from St. Louis. And one, it is St. Louis style pizza.
Emos.
Two, it is Emos.
Yep.
Emos. You got to go to Emos. There's another thing that they make in St. Louis. It's a cheese that no one else has. It's called Provel. And Provel, if you're not from St. Louis, is literally cheese and crack cocaine kind of mixed together. If that makes sense. And Provel is put on everything if you're from St. Louis. So Provel's on your salads, it's on your pizzas, it's on everything. So if you have a St. Louis style pizza, it's Provel from Emos. And the other thing you have to get is Vest Soda. Vest Soda is sold only at Schnucks, Deerbergs. You name the grocery stores in St. Louis, you only get it in St. Louis. And when I left St. Louis, it was a can with 25 cents. It was a 25-cent can of soda. And Ted Drew's is another St. Louis tradition. If anybody's in St. Louis, mad shout out to Ted Drew's. Ted Drew's, if you guys want to send me some frozen custard for doing this, by all means, I'll send you my address. But the thing is, the one thing about St. Louis style pizza is you have to have toasted ravioli. And toasted ravioli, I've heard two stories. It's kind of like chicken wings in Buffalo, where chicken wings was either like one place made it, the other place said they made it, but the story from a St. Louis person from Webster Groves, Missouri, was true story. This is my understanding of it. There was an Italian mom at Ragazzi's, which is on the hill, and Ragazzi's was known for the fishbowl. And the fishbowl was this huge thing of beer. And granted, I never drank beer back then, but it was this huge fishbowl. It was like literally a fishbowl of beer, and it was this great little Italian restaurant on the hill. And if you're from St. Louis, you know what the hill is. It's all these unbelievable Italian restaurants. But the story goes, this mom, this grandmother was in the back of the kitchen making ravioli, like hand making ravioli, and she accidentally dumped one or two of them in the deep fryer. And she pulled them out, and somebody was hungry, so she served them because she didn't know what else to serve them. And that's where toasted ravioli came from. So in my history of St. Louis restaurant historical facts, which are not by no means in the story, and this is the only word you hear, but it was started at Ragazzi's. And Ragazzi's, like I said, if you go to St. Louis, you go to Emos. You go to Lion's Choice, which is a sandwich place. It's like an Arby's, but a billion times better. And then you got to go and get toasted raviolis, and you got to eat Emos pizza. Then you go to a Cardinals game. Because then now you get the true essence of a Cardinals St. Louis summer.
So have you been back to St. Louis to a Cardinals game since they opened up Ballpark Village?
No. The last game I was at was Game 2 of the World Series in 2011 when they played the Sox.
Okay.
And that was the obstruction game where the throw to third base was one of the Sox slid into the Cardinal at the time.
Yep.
And the ball popped out, and he ran home, and they called it an obstruction. And then the Cardinals ended up winning the game late in the ninth. And then after that, the Sox beat the hell out of us. They won in 5, I think, that series. But I was there. I actually drove up from Boone up to that game, went to the game, hung out, and then drove back. I drove back literally the next day, and I had to work the next day. And it was nuts. I mean, I slept 26 hours, I think, the next day after that.
So we need to do a couple things. We need to get to St. Louis. So we need to get a hold of somebody in Missouri Valley and get going there. We need to do like a joint trip to Missouri Valley and get something going in St. Louis during the summer. And let's do it. Sarah, if you're paying attention, we need to get this going. We need to make that happen.
There's Six Flags too, by the way.
Maybe Garden of the Gods. Go since we're in Missouri. It's fun. Stay away from Branson though. They'll take your money.
Oh man, that's like if Vegas is run by Mormons. That's the old joke about Branson.
I was 17 and my parents made me go to Branson, Missouri. And I was taking some college courses, like an English comp course or whatever. And it was like the week that my final papers were due. And I spent more time in the Branson Public Library. And this was like 2001. A horrible trip. I was sick, spending time at the Branson Library. I had to go see some shows. It was dumb. I was pissed.
Did you go see Wayne Newton, though?
No, it wasn't even. It was bad. All I wanted to do was like. It was just bad. The streets in Branson were dumb. You couldn't turn left. There were like 2 lanes, and then you got the turn lane in the middle. It pissed me off. Anyway.
Did you ever go to Silver Dollar City?
No.
I went to Silver Dollar City when I was like 10 years old, and I went on a church trip. And whoever was running the church trip, we couldn't ride any rides. It was weird. It was like, this ride was too scary for this kid. This ride was too much for this kid. So we literally just walked around Silver Dollar City, and I got to look at rides. I was like, oh, look, that looks fun. Oh, look, that looks fun. We're not going to ride those. And I get off the bus, and my mom's like, how was the trip? And I was like, it sucked. It just pure sucked. So.
That is horrible. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That is by far just annoying. So you're very active with the USPTA. You're very active in the Jacksonville community with tennis, and you're actually the district president for Jacksonville. You've got a call coming up, a meeting coming up here. You've got some decent people they're going to be presenting. You want to talk a little about what you're doing in the community and what you've been able to kind of change the culture with the pro community in Jacksonville? You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, actually.
Thank you.
I was lucky enough to be elected the district president 3 years ago now. And during the first term was 2018. And I had some, I had to sit down and kind of put everything down in paper that I wanted to do. And I remember having to interview with Joe DeLeo over the phone. And I actually had to pull into a gas station after a ladies tennis match. I was actually coaching. And he called me. He's like, hey, do you got a minute to talk? And I was like, absolutely. And I pulled over, and I was in this gas station for like 30 minutes just kind of talking to Joe about, some ideas and some plans, and how the district could be organized a little stronger, and and so what we did was it took a lot of work, but we had a plan, we set the plan, we made the plan, and I just started talking to the pros, just started talking to a lot of the pros, and with any area, you got your old school guard, you've got your 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 guys that are kind of the old school, kind of the old cool school leader kids or whatever you want to call them, and then you got a bunch of other kind of kids in the middle, and you got your other guys that are kind of on the fringes. And I just hit the pavement. I just started calling all these different pros and started talking to them and just kind of listening and just kind of seeing what they wanted. And we always made sure that every meeting that we put together had some content that made sure that it made sense and people got something out of it. And it just kind of sprung rolled from there. And we always make sure that every time you came to a meeting, especially in our area, because it's so spread out, every pro that comes in, you're spending 30 minutes in the car to get there, 25 minutes in the car to get there. We knew we really had to make something really special for these guys to kind of make sure it was worthwhile. And, we always had dynamite speakers, and we were very lucky to, it never hurts to always just ask the best people to do it. And a lot of times they say yes, and you just kind of roll with it. And we were just very lucky in that regard for the first 2 years of doing this. We just had really good stuff, and Jacksonville and USPTA kind of came to me and said, hey, look, we're going to put the REDs together, the Regional Education Days. And that was kind of like a mini day at the convention. And I really, really kind of put those things together with my own heart and kind of place. Just being lucky enough to be able to go to a lot of conventions, a lot of world conventions, a lot of state conventions. I really asked myself, what would it take to get someone to come across town here? I could teach till 12, all day, kind of take a morning grind all day. What's going to really get these guys to come from out of their clubs? What's going to kind of shake the trees to get a lot of these pros to kind of respond and come out? And we always were very lucky to get really good quality speakers, really good organization, a lot of great communication. I had great VPs at the time. Frank Morrison was a great VP. I got Mark Atkinson now as my VP this year.
Great guy. Mark Atkinson is he's one hell of a guy.
Yeah.
I can't speak highly enough for Mark Atkinson, and he will be on the show. Don't have a date, but he is one of the best dudes I have met, and I can't speak highly enough about Mark. So he will be on the show soon. Man, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
yeah,
not at all.
No, yeah.
No, the thing was, when I first got here, I met Mark about 2018, 2017, about 2018, and USPTA always asks us to always nominate someone for District Pro of the Year in our district, and like within 5 billionths of a second, I was like, Mark Atkinson.
Yep.
Mark Atkinson was the guy, and I nominated Mark my very first year, and I was so proud to nominate him as our District Pro of the Year. And the dude, I just talked to him. You just talk to the guy like that, and the stories he kind of tells, and kind of like the life he lives, and he lives to serve, and he does a lot of at-risk youth in the inner cities, and you just hear about it, and you're just like, man, I got to do more. I got to do more when you hear what he does. But
so when you, and just to kind of continue on this, so this is the reboot. This is the first episode of the reboot. And Mark was on one of our original episodes. It was Next Gen Tennis. And Mark was on one of our first episodes. And this was, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I can't wait to listen. I can't wait to listen to Mark and just see where he's gone and what he's done since then, and compare the two interviews, and just if I can still get the old interview back, because it was just like where he was like 5 years ago and where he is now, and what they've done at the Mal Washington Foundation and the great things that they've been able to do the U.S. Open trips, and everything. It's been great. So anyway, not to cut you off or anything, but
no, not at all.
But go ahead.
Yeah, he, just real quickly, I always talk to him. He's like, "Hey, I'm taking a busload of kids down to National just to go watch college tennis." I'm like, God, once again, I got to do more. This guy just, he's like a Jiminy Cricket. He just, you think you're doing good things, and you talk to him, and you're like, dang, I got to step it up even more. But like I said, there's a great quote I've always kind of followed my career around. If you surround yourself with the best people you could possibly surround yourself, everything kind of takes care of itself. And like I said, we've been very lucky to have good VPs in this area. They hit the pavement. I ask them to do stuff, and they do it without a question. All of us know within the USPTA in the state of Florida, it's a labor of love. You don't need to spend 2-3 hours a night after you've been at work all day just kind of doing texting and emailing, calling, and making sure everyone knows that, hey, we get a Zoom, or hey, we got a district meeting, or hey, what do you think of this idea? And but it's been really, really cool, because what we've seen in the last couple of years is our district was very fragmented, if that makes sense. And there's been a lot of just kind of different, kind of like tribes is a good way to say it here. But with all the work we've been putting in, and you really reach out across the aisle, I guess is a good way to say it, where you get the older pros, you get the younger pros. You bring them all together, and you always make sure all the communications out there in front. You just make sure everything's really organized, and then the biggest thing is you just always make sure that you give them a reason to come back. If the content you're sending out to these pros isn't very good, you're going to lose them. Nowadays, unfortunately, and it's just because there's so much out there. Nowadays with with the Zooms and all the podcasts and everything USPTA is putting out with tennisresources.com. For us, you're not competing, but you always make sure that there's that brotherhood and that camaraderie and that sisterhood within your district. And with a district as large as ours in the state of Florida, it's very easy to not see pros.
Well, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head right there. There's the Zoom calls and the virtual meetings and the tennis resources and the online education. But I think the thing that people are really going to miss is the networking.
Yeah.
And the, not that, don't get me wrong. I know tennis pros sometimes have a bad reputation for, taking a drink or two too many, or going on the court and having a couple drinks or whatever. But, going to the bar and socializing and taking a couple drinks at the conferences and having a good time and letting loose, those things, and the networking and the stories that we're telling, and the problem solving that actually happens at the bar. When you look at your phone and you realize the names and the numbers that when you go to a conference that you pick up, and now all of a sudden I can pick up my phone and call this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and they're 30, 40, 50-year veterans in the industry. That's just a wealth of knowledge that they may not just be a presenter at a conference, but they may have presented at 10, 15 conferences across the country. And not just were they presenting, but they have lived the life, and they know exactly what to do, how to do it, how to walk to talk, how to present yourself in front of the members, how to make sure that you look and what time to do it, so you get done doing it when the members get there, to make sure that the members see you doing it, but don't see you actually doing all the hard work. It's just funny, like some of the games that you may have to actually play to make sure that you get stuff done, because if the members don't actually see you doing work, then they may not actually know that you do anything at all. It's just, funny things that you would never even think about, that it's just some crafty tools of wisdom that they're able to pass along.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a great quote, a very good friend of mine says, always have counsel.
Yeah.
Always have counsel. and I make sure that I touch base with as many people as I can when I can. You can't always talk to everybody when you want.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. You're at a world conference. Like last year in Vegas, there was 1,000 people in Vegas. There's no way you can talk to everybody. And there's new people that you want to meet because you've networked with them on social media and they're there and you're like, oh, I've wanted to meet you for 5 years. And you're finally in the same place at the same time. But there's 50 other people that you're talking to. And it's so tough. But no, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Always surround yourself with counsel. But the one thing that it's funny because I've been writing this article. Mark McMahon has definitely. I'm very fortunate to be in a program that he's offering right now, and he's definitely kind of become a mentor of mine, and he's really kind of shaping, the next phase of Matt Bacon and this and that, and he's always asking, who do you know, who have you met, who what's your next thing? And it's kind of the same thing, kind of just talking about people that you admire, that you see online all the time. And I was really fortunate last year in September to go out to Tennis Congress in Tucson, and Ken DeHart was there.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, this guy to me he's like your Jedi Knight, Master Knight. He's like Jedi Council kind of guy. And it was cool because I got to actually sit at the same table with him at breakfast, just randomly. And I'm just sitting there kind of eating crappy quinoa, by the way. But I'm looking there and looking at him like, and I just said, hi, I'm Matt Bacon. And he was the most personable guy I've ever met. And we've actually been able to keep up since, but that's the thing I wish a lot of younger pros could, if I could pass anything to the younger pros, to the Elevate group, to the U30 group, whatever you want to call them, to you, Mike, to, never be afraid to reach out and say hello to someone. Never, ever, ever just go ahead and talk to somebody. And you'll never know where that conversation leads. For instance, I remember exactly where you and I met. You and I were at Lynn Samard and Chuck Gill's, I think it was the service conversation they had at States or in Orlando. And I met you at the bar at lunch.
Yeah, I remember. I think I introduced them. I think I introduced their presentation.
Yep.
No, that wasn't that World Conference?
World's in Orlando. I was having lunch outside at the bar because the lunch was sold out or something like that. They're kicking people out.
Yeah.
I get it. And then you were there, and then Sarah was like on the phone, like way in the corner, like doing something like Instagram or something. But then that's how we all got to hang out and talk, and the rest is history.
This is Sarah. Huh?
Yeah, hang on. It was like this. Yeah, I'll come over. Sure. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Just hanging out. But, man, that's, but that's what good people do.
And then 3 years later, our photos in Advantage Magazine together.
Yes. I was going to bring that up, but you're true. Like, normally whenever I get my magazines, like my 9-year-old daughter will just like grab them and just kind of skim through them. And I'm just, I don't know what I'm doing. I get home from work and I throw all the stuff down on the kitchen countertop, and she's going through Advantage and she's just kind of skimming through it because she likes looking at the pictures. She goes, Matt, that's you. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I look and I was like, son of a beeswax. That was you, me, and Sarah at that cocktail party at the bar on top of the Westgate.
Imagine Sarah, me, and you in a photo at a cocktail party in Vegas.
Oh, man. And you guys are dressed up to the nines. I'm in a t-shirt and a pair of like $25 sunglasses.
Yeah, because we were on our way to go see Absinthe.
And I think I was on the way to like go to bed or something.
I think you were on the way to go see bed. We were finally able to go see a show, and it was like Thursday night or something. The conference was just about over, and it's like, conference is almost over. We can finally go see a show now. And
I think I went and played like blackjack that night and like lost like my butt. But that's Vegas for you.
You weren't too bad because we met up at the blackjack table when we got back from the show, because you were still there. I think what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so we'll just leave it at there. Hey, at least there were no tigers. To my understanding, there were no tigers in any of the hotel rooms that I know of.
Like I said, that, like I said, what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas.
There were
So,
I didn't know of any stolen or misplaced babies.
No, but I think you told me that was actually the hotel where they filmed the rooftop scenes of Hangover. It was right there at Westgate.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that was a thing. I don't know if that was true or not. I don't know.
Sarah Miles lying again.
Probably.
No.
So what is next up for you? I know you got your thing coming up, but what's on the horizon for Matt Bacon?
That's a great question. Last year there was so much travel and so much speaking engagements and so much just me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a lot of me, and my GM and I sat down and we set some goals for Timuquana and my country club that I work at. My big focus this year, pre-COVID, obviously, was to really put my staff in front of the limelight and kind of put a backseat to myself, where my head pros are rock star and my assistant pros are rock star, and put them in front. This was the year I was gonna send them to the state convention, and really get them starting the networking ball and the development and teaching them the ropes on the right ways, key word there, the right ways to become a director. I know obviously a lot of that kind of got thrown up in the air with all this going on, and everyone kind of goes into survival mode a little bit and this and that, but hopefully we can still keep those plans intact for those guys where it's about them, not me anymore. Same with life, it's not about me, it's about the family. But that was the goal this year, was to really start to develop them. The club's taken huge strides and leaps and bounds in the few little bit of time I've been there. There's a new lighting project that we got to take on, and I'm boring everyone to death with all these kind of conversations. But, I think for me, the next project is just, really make sure Jacksonville as a pro district is set up for the future, and make sure that the state of Florida, anything I can do to make it a better place for the pros and for the community is same as you, make the state better. Because if we can make the state better, then we're going to make other districts better at the same time. Because I know a lot of different divisions kind of follow USPTA Florida's lead, and we always just try to stay ahead of the curve and be the tipping spear, and and I really want to make sure that Jacksonville stays one of the leading districts in the state, just because we are one of the largest ones, and we've had such a rich culture here with so many good pros that have come in through here, and we got a really good culture with ATP, and Todd Martin and Malavia Washington are here. The Witt brothers are here. A lot of pros call this part of the country home, and we just want to make sure that the tradition just gets richer, and all of our pros here in the area stay current and very up to date, and we make sure that bond and that sisterhood and that brotherhood are very strong. And at some point my time will pass as district president, and hopefully I can just pass the torch on to whoever decides to take the lead, and we just leave it a better place. Same with the state.
So talking about passing on the torch, there's a football team up the East Coast in Carolina. They just passed the torch with head coaches. They just passed the torch with quarterbacks. It just happens to be your team, the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. You and John Isner love the Carolina Panthers. So
it's the best football team in the NFL. I mean, what can I say?
I'll give you that one for now. But everyone's 0-0 right now. Everyone's undefeated right now.
Yeah.
But what's your prediction? Like, where do you think they're going to go? I mean, Super Bowl or bust for you, Matt Bacon? Like, what do you think they're going to –
Not this year. I'm going to tell you.
Is that too early?
Yeah, it's too early this year.
Absolutely,
I think the AFC
it
South,
is.
I mean, the guy you hate, I don't know about everyone else who's on this call. If you guys love Tom Brady, great for you.
I'm
He's the GOAT.
I'm extremely conflicted right now. I don't know what to do because I didn't hate the Bucks. Like, I kind of liked the Bucks. I was a big Mike Allstott fan growing up because I was Purdue. I was a Purdue fan. I loved Mike Allstott. He went to Purdue. I followed him. I watched him play for the Boilermakers live. Then he gets drafted by the Buccaneers in the second round, goes down to Tampa when they were nothing, goes and plays for him, gets coached up by Tony Dungy, runs over everybody, hits everybody square in the face, and runs them over into the end zone. Has a Pro Bowl caliber career every single year as a fullback, and then eventually wins the Super Bowl. And I'm like, yeah, I can chill with this. Meanwhile, I'm still a Colts fan, and I can swing that because it's AFC, NFC. And only have to worry about them playing each other once every 6 years. Or once every 3-4 years, whatever. But whatever. So now, Tom Brady, dude, I'm a Colts fan. Like, Colts, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Like, Patriots, Colts, like Belichick, Tom Brady. Like, I can't. I don't know. I don't. That it goes so deep.
Well, I'll tell you this: the amazing thing that we were able to watch in the past 10 years have been Colts Patriots AFC Championship games, which is literally like watching Jordan Bird or Jordan and Knicks, or it's like watching Shaq and LeBron. I mean, it's like these unbelievable, like, that's the best NFL matchup you've had in the past decade is Manning Brady, and it was so cool that we were able to watch that so many times. And rivalries like that in the NBA and college football and college basketball and baseball are huge. You don't get a lot of those kind of matchups in the NFL, and
for that long too. It was a long time.
Right. And they were always good games. There was never like a bust game. I mean, never blowout games. But now, the cool thing, unfortunately, as a Panthers fan, which sucks, but you get to see the two greatest GOATs still around got to play each other twice a season. So you're going to get Drew Brees playing Tom Brady twice a year for at least, 2 years? 3 years, maybe 3 years? But it's good football. It's going to be good football.
Well, remember, Drew Brees has got that contract waiting for him. Well, he turned that down, so I don't know.
I mean, look at the Saints the last 2 years. You've been robbed. You were literally robbed of a Super Bowl appearance by one of the most horrendous calls in the history of NFL football. And you were beat by a miracle, hands to Jesus, oh my God, what the hell just happened kind of play in Minnesota. So you're literally 2 plays away from back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, arguably. I mean, he's got at least another year if he does well this year.
So
another 2 years.
That's another Purdue product right there. It's Drew Brees.
It is. Yep,
Another Boilermaker. So, when Drew Brees and the Saints beat the Colts in the Super Bowl, I wasn't awfully mad because Drew Brees was a Boilermaker product.
Right.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, they're kind of like my B team again because Allstott's done. I'm not really a Bucks fan too much anymore, but I'm following Drew Brees. I actually had Drew Brees' jersey when he was in San Diego. Follow the Purdue fandom, follow the Boilermakers. But
Mike, I'll tell you a funny story. So 15 was the greatest football season of my entire life. Second. Take the loan for all of you who are not really big Panthers fans. Actually took the Super Bowl NFC champion team to play the New England Patriots, and Adam frickin' Vinatieri kicked that last-second field goal, I think in 2001, 2002, to beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl. Not a lot of people know that. But in 2015, when I moved back to Florida from Carolina, was the greatest single season in Panthers NFL offensive history. And that was when Cam Newton had the number one offense in the NFL. And I see this lineage of like Cam Newton and the Panthers. Like, there's no way they're going to go. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. And I said, we're going to win the Super Bowl if we play anybody but Peyton Manning. And we'll be the bad guys. We will be the underdog bad guys. And I said, who couldn't root for the Panthers? And then Peyton Manning makes the Super Bowl. I'm like, dang it, now we're the bad guys. And we pooped the bed. We absolutely pooped the bed in that Super Bowl.
All Peyton Manning want to do is just drink some Budweiser and go home with kiss his wife. That's all he wanted to do was kiss his wife and drink some Budweiser.
That Super Bowl victory was on Von Miller's defense. It wasn't on Peyton Manning.
No, it was, and true. And Von Miller blew up that game. He was unstoppable.
Yep. He was Cam Newton before Cam Newton got blown up in the Super Bowl. So, but talking about Panthers, I'll just make this quick thing. Matt Rule, the new coach, unbelievable superstar out of college football, took Baylor, turned the program around. First coach in the past 10 years. If you guys want to chime in on that, please. First round defensive tackle, second round defensive end, second round safety, fourth round corner, fifth round safety, sixth round defensive tackle, seventh round cornerback. First team in I think the past 10 years to literally draft all defense, and they're going to be beasts. But we're going to need time to develop. They're good. They're going to need time. Get either Brady or Breeze out of that division. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to surprise a lot of people. Week 9 against Kansas City at Kansas City is going to be fun to watch because CMC can run all over them. And then Week 15 at Green Bay, that's going to be a fun game too because I think Christian McCaffrey could have a historic season again. I mean, he's league MVP material. I think last year he missed out by a couple votes to get it. Dude, he should either have the cover of Madden or we should have the league MVP this year.
Do you really want your player to have the cover of Madden?
If it's the cover of Madden or the league MVP, I'll take MVP. I think the Madden curse. I don't know. You look at future, as they say in Go Look at future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes. He was on the cover of Madden 2 years ago, and he won the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, but wasn't he like the first one to break the curse?
That's a great question. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But, if he's on the cover of Madden and he wins the Super Bowl, if CMC can do it, I'll take those odds.
Very true. So, great stuff tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to have you on again. This is very fun. Upcoming this week, we have Kyle Lacroix. We have Amanda Fink. We have I'm just blanking out. Next week, next week we have Chuck Gill. So yeah, I've got some names coming up. We've got Robert Taylor coming up this week. We have from Parenting Aces. We've got her coming in. So we've got just loaded up these first 2 weeks of some very heavy hitters, and it will be a great 2 weeks start off. And Matt, you batted the lead off. You got on base with a hit. You actually made to second. You stole second, got a hit and stole second. So
Carpenter. I like a Matt Carpenter. So.
You did. High average.
So Mike, I got one question. I got one last question before we.
Oh,
so
geez.
You got Kyle. You got Amanda Fink. You got Robert Taylor coming up. You even said you got Chuck Gill coming up.
Yeah.
What the hell in am I doing in front of all those guys?
Well, see, that's the thing. I needed somebody to be my guinea pig in case I had technical issues to be patient with me. And that's why we were late for a half an hour. And
fair enough, sir. Well played, sir. Well played.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. No, no, it was actually, at first it was we couldn't get the video to stream. And then we got the video to stream, and then the audio didn't work. It was just one thing after another, but eventually we got it.
I don't know if you saw it, but like Amy, like my fiance was in the back, like putting dishes away.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? Stop
What are you doing?
Stop it! I mean, after you saw it, I was like, oh, it's been one hell of a night. I'll give you that, man. It definitely cuts my dead time. But Mike, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
So Lisa Stone will be on Thursday. 9:00 every night. Hopefully I won't have any more issues with the audio and the video, and we can start at 9:00 every night, because I know people need to go to bed and wake up early in the morning so they can get their courts done, string their rackets, and get their lessons in, because places are starting to open up and people need to social distance responsibly by playing tennis and kick their balls and not touch them, as the Nassau County PIO likes to say, or whatever her position was. But you saw that, right?
Did I see that? I saw that video. Yeah, with the people in the background.
Yeah, the awesome forehands hitting in the back.
That was impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the pros there in Long Island need to get on the court again very soon, because there are some follow-throughs that need to be fixed. Some footwork drills need to be done.
Yeah.
No, just giving everyone a hard time. It was great. So, Matt, thank you so much. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. This is going to be on what I call Fitty. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I know I sent that out to you earlier, and you're like, what the hell was that? But follow me on the Fitty, and I don't want to call it social media anymore. But, guys, thanks, y'all, for listening, and we will talk to you all soon. Matt, have a great night.
Mike, thank you very much for having me. Ball Elite, you guys are rock stars. Thank you so much. I can't wait to watch. Once again, my God, man, me first in front of all those other people. Anyways, by the way, you guys are best. Mike, thank you. Sarah, thank you. I'll see you guys at Disney real soon, okay?
All right, take care. Have a good one.
Bye. Thanks, Mike. Bye, buddy. Bye. Cheers.